Welcome back to another episode of the Thai Canadian podcast. I'm your host, Mrs. Mac. And I'm your host, McLeod.
So we're back on another episode of the Thai Canadian podcast.
Hello.
Your host, Mrs. Mac, and Mac Milon. And today we have a long lost friend of mine, Ayla McLeod. That's how you pronounce it now, hey?
Yep.
McLeod? Okay. Yeah.
Now, by long lost, you mean like we've searched far and wide for her,
well,
and we found her.
Technically, yes.
Yeah, like
in a way, yes.
Like I don't even know when we like added each other on Facebook. Like,
I know Facebook came out like pretty much when I moved to Canada.
Okay, so you moved
maybe
back
even before that. But, us growing up in Thailand, we never had Facebook or anything like that at all.
Yeah.
So it was completely new to us, being in a foreign country and all at the time. So it took us, I don't know, at least a couple of years or maybe even 5 years before we even found each other on Facebook.
A lot like happened after that. Like, I mean, I remember being at Montessori, which was our little bilingual school there. Yes. And you were, I was in the same grade as Nathan, which is Ayla's brother, and you were 3 years older, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then I don't think I even stayed there for that long. Like the school part of it was never much of our relationship. I just remember going over to your house, my dad dropping me off on his little moped. We'd have awesome sleepovers.
Yeah, we hung out outside of school a lot. I mean, ever since school, we kind of clicked and have been inseparable since, moving day.
Yeah. And I can't remember. I think it was me that moved away first. Because I remember moving.
Honestly, it's such a long time ago. I don't remember. When did you move? What year did you move?
2003. It must have been.
Okay,
like it was somewhere around there. But
yeah.
When did you end up moving back to Canada?
I moved to Canada in 2006.
Okay. So you were gone.
Left ever since.
Oh, wow.
Well, I've been back home a couple times, but I've always been living here. I haven't gone back and lived in Thailand since then.
So it's been a long time then.
Yes, it's been a very long time.
Do you miss living there?
So when I went back there, it took me 10 years before I actually went back to Thailand.
Oh my God, that's a long
before I got married there. Being back, everything was different. A lot has changed.
Yeah, definitely.
So just being back there, every time I go to visit Thailand, I'd stay at least a month. And I don't know, I would love to live there, but so much has changed to the point that I don't know how.
What do you mean, COVID wise? You mean politically? What is it that's changed?
No, because when I went back, this was way before COVID. So when I went back after 10 years, this was in 2012, 13, okay. I think at that point. And obviously 10 years is a very long time since I left. And it's just tourism and I couldn't even find my own home. I still live at the same place. My parents still live there.
Do they still live there? Okay.
Yeah, my parents still live there at the same house. So just being back there, I couldn't even find
the way to get there.
Everything has changed. There's obviously construction.
Yeah.
So infrastructure, everything, it's just a whole new.
Yes. Wow. It's like a whole new world, essentially. Wow.
Is there a lot more Westernism kind of making its way out there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. You see a lot more foreigners, as Thais call it. A lot of Chinese, that's for sure. Yeah. It's, to me, when I was telling my dad while I was down there, I was like, this looks like a mini version of Las Vegas right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's from that 10 years, the last time I went back, because I think I moved back here in 2013 or 14. One of those. And even like then it had changed a lot from when we were like younger, but then going back like a year or two later, it was completely different within just 2 years. Like the amount of like
things are
stuff that
changing
changed.
over there all the time. Like I was over there 2007 not 2007, 2017. Me and my husband flew there. I got married there actually in Thailand, in Phuket. And even then, a lot of stuff have changed since I've been there last before that. So I can only imagine.
I want to kind of scale it back a bit. How long were you in Thailand? When did you move to Thailand?
I moved to Thailand in 2006, at the end of 2006, going on 2007.
And that was your first time ever being there?
Being where, sorry?
And was that your first time going, and that's the first time you went to live?
No, I moved from Thailand to Canada in 2006.
So you were born in Thailand?
Yes, I was born and raised in Thailand.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Okay, so it was like
you
the
went the other way
for me.
Yeah, you guys
really kind of switched.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you moved to Canada?
I think I was 16 going on 17.
And you have zero accent? That's crazy.
Yeah, but she still grew up around her dad speaking English.
But then again, like just like Nancy, I've been going to a private international school all my life, which Nancy knows a lot about.
So it's an English speaking school.
Even me being Thai and Canadian, all my life I've always gone to an English speaking school.
Yeah. Wow.
So how's your Thai? Do you still got your Thai?
My Thai is very rusty. I mean, I can understand 100%. Speaking wise, I can say some words which can sound fluent Thai, but I have troubles thinking of words to say, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that used to happen to me. Like when I first would like go back and forth, I'd throw like an English sentence with like a Thai word or a Thai sentence with English in it. Like it'd be like a mix and mangle of it. But when we were younger, like did you speak fluent Thai like before? Like is it that you forgot some of it, like being away for so long, or?
Yeah, so when we were younger, especially around Thai people, all we spoke was Thai. And of course, international schools, I guess it really depends on who you hang around with and who you talk to, because back then I spoke Thai a lot, along with English as well. So there's a lot of mixture between English and Thai. So coming back here and being here for so long and not speaking any Thai at all, even though my mother is Thai and I speak English to her, I barely even speak any Thai to her, even though she sometimes responds in Thai and I would respond back in English. So after a while, I kind of forgot how to speak Thai, but yet I could still understand. I just, when it comes to me talking back, I just forgotten a lot of words.
Yeah.
I feel like my dad can speak Thai a lot better than me at this point, even though he's, Canadian. But accent-wise, when he speaks Thai, he sounds like a foreigner. And when I speak Thai or even say certain words, I sound very Thai.
Okay. You're living in Toronto, right?
I live in London, Ontario.
London? Okay.
Yeah.
It's halfway between Windsor and Toronto.
Okay. I knew it was on that side of the country. I just didn't know whereabouts. And is that
not quite the city, just on the outskirts a little?
Okay.
Is that about an hour and a half from Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how fast you drive.
Yeah,
yes.
This probably should be about 2 hours.
Jeez.
401 is no joke.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I've never been to that side of the country.
So whereabouts are you?
Edmonton. Just outside of Edmonton, yeah.
All right. I thought
way down here. Yeah. So like originally, like my dad's from Calgary, which is still like still on this side of the country. Like I've always been down in Alberta. Yeah.
Do you see your dad or your family all the time?
My dad literally lives a couple houses down from me. So
Yeah, we can see his house.
Oh, that's
from
nice.
the window.
Yeah, I can
That's
look out
actually
the
pretty
window.
convenient.
Yeah, so he's pretty close by. My mom, she still lives in Thailand. I try to go back like usually every year, but now it's been like almost 3. I was supposed to go back this year, but with COVID,
And I'm sure COVID doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I know my parents were supposed to come visit me the summer after COVID, but obviously, travel wise, they can't right now. And if they can, you're supposed to quarantine yourself for 14 days. And by that time,
It's time to go
their
back.
trip is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
then you got to do the same thing on the other side. So it's just a month of sitting in a room.
Yeah, pretty much.
So your dad is Canadian?
Yes, my dad's Canadian.
And you guys came here 2006. What was like your biggest culture shock, I guess, coming to Canada?
Well, in a way, being in an international school and everything, it wasn't too much of a culture shock to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told, I've heard a lot of stories about Canada and everything. I think it's just more of trying to fit in and understand slang.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
And was there like any like problems with like racism at all? Like were you like did they see you as like a white person or like Asian, or were you like stuck somewhere else, like native, like I've gotten that, like
No, I mean, when I tell people that I'm from Thailand, they look at me and they're just like, really? Oh, you're fresh off the boat, or you don't look Asian at all.
Yeah, you definitely don't.
I get that a lot. I don't look Asian at all.
I get.
All right, that's cool. I mean, I guess. I'm not too sure if you're from a country what you're supposed to look like. I mean, we're all human beings after all, but okay. Other than that, for me, not really. Not as much as some people that I've seen or encountered.
Yeah, but I think obviously too, being able to speak English, going to an international school, like that kind of made you stand out to the point where you weren't like learning all that. Yeah, exactly. You didn't have to come and learn it as you went. You knew a bit of it, so you could know what people were saying about you, type of thing, right? Like people could be talking about you. You'd be like, hey, I'm not stupid. I'm right here. I could fully understand you. Whereas if you come from another country, it might take you a while. Like you said, slang and insults, you might not know that something's an insult for 4 years. I was watching this Korean guy came here and didn't know the N-word was a bad word. He said he used it for like 4 years when he first got here because he just didn't know, because he heard it in all the songs. So he thought it was okay to use it. Like he said for 4 years he just went around using that word.
Right,
no one corrected him.
Or like in Thailand, when somebody comes up to us and they said, "Oh, how do you say this?" or "How do you say that?" A lot of the times they want to learn bad words.
Yeah.
And so we tell them that, and we don't know if they use it in their country or not, but like I hope not.
So you came, you're 16, you would have been in grade 11, right? When you got here? So how was that, like adjusting from internet, like schools international? Because I know just going from school to school locally is hard enough.
Right. I got lost a little bit because the school that I went to, well, I guess schools here in Canada or the States or anywhere else compared to the schools that Nancy and I went to is much bigger.
Massive,
and a lot more students.
Yeah.
And finding classes and teachers and everything, it was just kind of I was like a nervous wreck at that point. And literally going into school, I had to ask every single person that I came into contact with what room number this is and where can I find it.
Jeez.
And then after finding that room number, hopefully early enough so I can talk to the teacher and be like, hey, I'm from a foreign country. Can you help me out a little bit? Like, I'm a little nervous and I don't really know what I'm doing. I feel like a grade niner, as you say, trying to get into high school, right?
Yeah.
Doing it all over again.
I've never been here before. This school, no, this country. That's crazy. That's just seems like a lot of adjusting. So now in Canada in schools, like people are very cliquey. You kind of link up with either your race or your type, or like what was that like for you? Like, were you hanging out with the Asians? Were you just by yourself for a while until you just gravitated towards people?
I actually clicked with yes, a lot of school had cliques, and especially in my school, there was so many different types of people everywhere. And for me, growing up, I was just friends with everybody. So literally, I went to every single clique, introduce myself, and say, "Hey, I'm new to Canada. What's up?" Literally. So certain cliques did not like that, but at the time, like literally, I didn't even care because that's just how I was. Like, especially in Thailand, we went to an international school. There was not really a clique. There was no clique. There was just, we're all friends or we're not, right?
Yeah.
At the time, anyways. Maybe times are different now. I don't know. But that's how I was in high school. So when I first started, and obviously it starts in the classroom, and then once you get to know people a little bit more, and I just kind of went around school and just introduced myself to everybody and be like, "Hey, and how are you?" And I just literally talked to everybody. So I didn't really have a clique that I hung out with. It was just I roamed around the school a lot.
Yeah. You just knew who not to hang out with, kind of thing, and then you.
In a way, I knew who not to hang out with, but I tried to anyways, even though it wasn't the best choice for me. I mean, I got into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, because I can imagine like, kids here are probably a lot worse as far as like just being brats or badass kids in school and shit. Like, was any of that influenced on you?
Yeah, so there was this guy in school that I dated. I actually dated him for 6 years, and he was known as a bad boy in school. Yes. And so dating this bad boy and his clique didn't like the idea of me talking to others or just how I am in a way. I don't know. I didn't really
like
get
being
to the
friendly
full
or like,
bottom of this. So I was bullied a little bit after that by certain, I'd say, gang members or whichever you want to call it. And I actually got into my first fight the second semester in grade 11. Jesus. It was 1 against 5 people.
Oh, wow.
Had you ever been in a fight before?
Yes.
Okay, well, that helps at least.
And 1 against 5.
That's a lot.
Well, first it started off with 1-on-1, and then the rest of them jumped in.
Yeah.
But, however, after that fight, I actually gained a lot of respect from a lot of people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because most kids that have been bullied in the past would move to a different school.
Yeah.
But I guess according to them, I stood my ground and I stuck up for myself, and regardless if I lost or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost.
5 against 1.
They respected the fact that I was able to stick up for myself. Note for all the other youngsters out there.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. See, that's something we don't like. It's a culture that one thing would be a culture shock to me. Like when I moved over here, I saw a lot like of fights, like just even like not in school. Obviously I came when I was already older, but just going out to like clubs. Yeah. Whereas like comparing it to Thailand, like my first fight was also in Canada, but it was it was like a bar fight. But compared to Thailand, like I had never been in any physical fights. Like I feel like the just the way people react there, it's a lot different than here. Here they just jump to fists, whereas there it's more like people like just talk behind your back. It's
try
like
to get out of the situation before it becomes worse. Yes. And well, I mean, in some sort of way, yes. You know, I have family also, and being born and raised in Thailand, like I've also seen a lot happen, and even just going out, I've seen a lot of fistfights in Thailand. I've never been in one in Thailand per se, but I've, you know, the crowd that I was with at the time, I've seen a lot of fights and everything happen, even over the littlest things. But you're right, in some sort of way, when it comes to certain things, Thais know how to try to avoid the situation a lot better before it escalates.
Unless it's like, you know, the women of the night, they'll fuck you up, hands down.
Yes,
no matter what you do. You just look at them wrong. Yeah, especially them, you know. Lady boys, they get pretty mad, and that at that point it's not even fair, because, you know, they're physically more like, you know, they're kind of they were men.
Upper hand in a way.
It's definitely not fair.
Definitely.
How do guys feel about it? Like a straight guy, like me being a straight guy in Thailand, if I saw like a transsexual girl fighting a natural born girl, I would be like, this is kind of not fair, and I might step in. How do like,
and it's not just one of them, they all come in too.
Like it's like a pack.
But the men will, like the straight men or the regular, the men will just like let that happen.
Well, it depends.
Yes,
it depends. Like, because some of them, like, it's especially where we used to go out, like it's like a strip, so like they all kind of know. They all know each other, like Bangla, like that's our favorite place to go. But like everyone knows each other there, so it's like you get into fight with one of them, like there'll be like a bunch running down the block, like from different areas, like coming. So
is that
out
like
of
the
alleys,
transgender
like,
community, like that's where they hang out, kind of thing? Or like...
Well, it's like the bar scene.
Okay,
like it's nightlife, so that's where they tend to hang out.
So
like,
I guess
not all of them,
as a straight man, you're not trying to fight 32 transgenders. You're just like, you know what, girl, you're on your.
But I mean, you shouldn't like don't go Keep there with someone you expect to start something. You kind of choose your people like wisely. Like,
but is it more like
choose your words wisely?
Yeah.
Are they like just defensive?
Definitely.
Like they just get defensive if they think you're being disrespectful to them?
Even if you look at them. No, if you look at them a certain way, they'll be like, what you looking at? Like, it's just like you get like you don't have to do anything sometimes. That's why I like, you know, you just kind of keep your head low. But it's hard when you're intoxicated.
They ask you to buy a drink and you say no, they can get that too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And they'll do that to the men too. It's like if a man says no to like buying them a drink, and then it's like, oh, you've offended them. You're homophobic.
What about a regular man fighting transgender? That just looks bad no matter what. Even if he if that a transgender offers me a drink, I say no. He goes to hit me. I go to defend myself and hit him back or her back. Are people like?
But at some like it's hard. It's hard for some people to tell
the difference.
Whether it's a lady boy.
You don't know
or not.
till you get hit. You're like, oh shit! You wanted it.
That fist comes, then you're gonna find out. Like I've heard about a lot of cases where like they go home with people and then they find out. Like that happened to one of my dad's friends. That like he or she, I guess, she left the house, and I kind of sat there and I looked at my dad and I was like, that's not a woman. And my dad's like, we're not going to discuss this. And I was like, oh, okay. So, and then eventually we ended up finding out that he didn't know and found out then, like after. So, but at that point, it's like, what do you do?
It's funny that you say that, because like even just hearing you say that, I feel like somebody like you and I can spot a transgender or a ladyboy from a mile away, even if they have the complete full sex change. And most people don't.
Yeah, because we're like, I guess, accustomed to it. Like we grew up around like seeing it. So
did you guys know a lot of guys turn girl or girls turn guy?
Oh yeah, I've had friends who are lady boys.
Right. So so
I didn't know them
and
from
I know exactly how extra they can be sometimes.
Oh yeah. That's how you learn.
Is it the other way around the thing over there? Is there a lot of women that
not really. It's more like tomboys.
Yeah.
But
they won't go to surgery
not really. Like it's not really a big thing.
Yeah.
That from what
I've
noticed.
More known in Thailand. It's not like, let's say, in other countries or here in Canada. I mean, with gay pride and everything like that in certain countries, like some of them are still hiding behind doors, where in Thailand they're so open about it. Everybody's out there. It's if at that moment that if you think you are gay, you know what? There it is. It's not like here where it's like I'm gonna hide behind, closed curtains or doors a little bit just to get accepted before I come out with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And has Thailand always been like that, like open and like? Is gay marriage legal there? No, I think we did Google that, but it only just became legal.
Yeah.
Yes. It only just became legal.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Seeing as like how open they were, like have been about it compared to other places.
I guess this is just my opinion only. I don't know if this is a fact or not, but I feel like, the fact that they just opened to gay marriages in Thailand and everything like that is because they didn't really take it, in my opinion, they didn't take it seriously at the time because, with gays and everything, they're so open about it and people think that they're just confused about their sexuality. So they didn't take anything like that seriously. Unlike some countries where, hey, you know what, like we actually really love this person and it's not just for
real thing. This is not an accident. This person didn't just decide this one day out of boredom. Like you can't just treat people like that. Yeah, but it's funny that they're so progressive, but not like politically not, but in the communities it's like whatever. It already is a thing. Like no one's judging on the floor, but it's like politically it just became a thing. Yeah, it's so progressive, but then so late at the same time.
Yeah, which brings me to ask: do you have any views of what's going on back home right now with the students protesting and all that? Have you heard much about it?
Student, like, what do you mean? Tell me a little bit more about that. I've had, I don't know, like how new this is.
Well, it's happening right now. Like I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't looked too much into it yet. It's just with the monarchy, so it's pretty much like the king, and the students like are pretty much calling for freedom of speech. Like they're saying that Thailand's not really the land of the free anymore. Like with how they have to keep silent, they're not able to like speak up. Like it's our generation, like the younger generation. That's
they're trying to shake the old North Korean Chinese ways of we're pretending we're free, but you can't say this, or you can't do that, can't speak about this guy. Whereas in these countries, the real Western countries, you could say fuck Trump, hashtag fuck Trump,
right?
And it's just okay. It's fine.
You try to say that about the king over there, and
it's funny because like when our king died, the one that we all love, and then the new king became king, and we've heard a lot of bad things about him. And whenever I tried to ask my mom about it and try to talk to her about it, it's the same thing that you're saying, Nancy. Hush, hush. We're not supposed to talk about it.
Yeah.
She didn't want to answer me, so she just completely ignored the situation. So
that's scary though, that there's still a generation of people who are like that. Because I know your mom's like that too. Like, and Nancy's mom's the same way. Like when we started doing this podcast, she's like, watch what you say and how you say it, and we're like, fuck, like it's still like that over there. Like
Yep.
But at the same time, we're not
100%.
airing in Thailand. So
Even just talking on the phone, it's like, oh, be careful what you say on the phone.
Right?
It's
right.
like, what, is somebody watching me?
Right.
Could be like, don't.
But it's sad because it's going to take a revolution like what's happening right now, and the fact that there's not enough eyes on it. If the world were to see it, because they could just start killing these people and get rid of them hush hush, and no one would know because people are so distracted. There needs to be more media coverage on things like that matter, because a revolution like that by these kids is important. It's like, yo, freedom of speech is important. Like, don't just kill these kids off and kill that dream with them. Like, somebody make a big deal out of it and make it national. Like, because I'm not. When you told me yesterday, that was the first time I heard about it. And I'm like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're starting to use force now. Like I haven't kept like up to date on it, but I go back to look at it every because I want to try to like understand what's going on. Like I've looked at a couple.
Like now the soldiers are
interviews.
involved and stuff.
Yeah, the soldiers are involved. Like it's peaceful protesting. Like they have done nothing.
Yeah, it always
wrong.
Starts with that,
and it's still remained peaceful after they started to use
from the
force.
protesters.
Yeah, and the protesters are
what they do. They'll send in one of their own undercovers.
Yeah, they'll make
someone will
something
throw
happen,
a bomb at a cop, and they'll be like, "Now they're rioting."
But yeah, and it goes down to like even kids that are younger, like grade 6 kids, like 12, 13-year-olds are like in on it. Like it started with like the university students at first, but yeah, I just wanted to see if like you knew anything.
Do you follow
about
any of the Thai politics, Ayla?
I try to. I mean, my mom is very much. She's in the center of it, I would say, and every time I ask her about something like that, she doesn't want to talk about it over the phone. And I'm glad to hear that people are starting to protest about it, because back then nothing was said, so it was always on hush hush. So as much as I try to keep up, but I'm also being hushed by my parents as well. I mean, they know stuff about it, but they don't want to talk about it over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is your husband Thai?
No, my husband's Canadian.
He's Canadian, but you guys just got married over there?
Yes, we just got married over there.
Nice. And do you guys have kids?
Yes, we have
boy.
one son. Little boy, Marcus.
Nice.
He's cute. Yeah, I always watch your videos. Yeah, how old is he?
He is 2.5.
Oh, okay.
2.5.
Small.
Going on 13.
Yeah, I saw his
Literally.
ABCs and his counting.
Oh yes.
Doing really
and he
good.
tells me what to do, what not to do. He's very bossy.
Nice. How's COVID affecting you guys in your life in London?
Well, I guess in the beginning, of course, with the citywide shutdown, that wasn't great for everybody. But right now, I think London is doing a lot better than most places. I know Toronto had a bar restaurant shut down for a couple of weeks. I don't know if they opened back up yet. London hasn't gotten to that point yet, although we did have a bunch of students who went out as soon as school opened, and they had COVID and they went out anyways and got a whole bunch of people sick. And the place that I was working at happens to be on the same strip as where the students were partying, so it did affect the business a little bit. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, yes, just the same as everywhere else, right?
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It's an interesting time right now, so I just always want to ask everyone how it's affecting them.
How everyone's holding up during COVID.
It sucks.
Yeah, well, we are running out of time today. That's all we got time for today. But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you didn't tell half the things that you could have told or wanted to tell, maybe. So we'd love to get you back on if you'd love to come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do this. Just let me know. Nancy, text me.
Yes, I will. Right. This is the Thai Canadian podcast. Your host, Mrs. McLeod, and Ayla McLeod.
Peace. Lock on.
Bye. Lock on.
Bye.